But first, and please excuse a digression, but I see that Melbourne is again going to host its annual Marxism conference next Easter to coincide with the holiest day of another religion. So we have yet another conference in Australia's most left-wing city to promote Marxism. Great. That's just the deadliest new ideology to be preached in these past 2 centuries. Millions dead, whole countries ruined, and there's still people here promoting it, even in our universities. Incredible, incredible. But wait. We have a news update, a Marxism update. At the APEC meeting yesterday, Australia and the United States agreed to push back against the spreading power of Marxist China. They will today build a new naval base, or together build a new naval base in Papua New Guinea, on Manus Island, to stop China from controlling even more of the Pacific and the shipping lanes to our north.
The United States of America will continue to uphold the freedom of the seas and the skies, which are so essential to our prosperity. We will continue to fly and sail wherever international law allows and our national interests demand. Harassment will only strengthen our resolve. We will not change course.
Now, you've got to ask with this, how is it that China is such a threat? How did it end up a dictatorship that's so hostile to freedom? I mean, to the freedoms that we say are so important anyway. How come it is virtually a dictatorship under President Xi Jinping? One that arrests and persecutes democracy activists, people who are just demanding free speech. Why does it lock up even Christians and now detain hundreds of thousands of Muslims for re-education in huge detention camps that have been built across the country? What makes China such a menace to people who want to live as we do, free? Now, part of the answer is Marxism, although true, China's rulers are increasingly Marxist only in name and in their taste for power. Marxism is that theory or theology that says make men and women equal by force if necessary and put them under the control of a special class, at least for the time being, the militant working class. And then share everything that people make according to their need, not according to their effort or talent. So, this dictatorship will decide who gets what. And if it doesn't quite work out, you know, people aren't working that hard because they've got no incentive. Some people want free speech. They want to make their own life. If it doesn't work out, don't change the theory. Destroy everyone who must have sabotaged this wonderful plan. Now, there's actually a small problem with this. Well, a catastrophic problem. Give any elite, anyone, that enormous power over the rest of us, and in every case, they will misuse it. Lenin, Mao, Pol Pot, Stalin. These rulers will become tyrants, especially when they see the system not quite working. And we've seen that again and again and again. We've seen the horrors that then follow. In Russia, taken over by communists 101 years ago, millions of political prisoners were sent to the brutal prison camps, the Gulag Archipelago. 25 million people died. In China, under Mao Zedong, 60 to 70 million people died, many in a famine caused almost entirely by his mad ideas and tyranny. In Cambodia, under the Khmer Rouge, a quarter of the population was killed. The victims' photographs taken just before their execution are still kept in the old torture centre in Phnom Penh. I went there and I saw those photos. Made me feel sick. In Cuba, communism again failed. In Eastern Europe, it failed. Venezuela is failing again. In a once rich country whose supermarket shelves are today empty and whose poor are starving. All this suffering and failure and tyranny, it was described decades ago. And in fact, this month is the 50th anniversary of the publication of the breakthrough book that detailed intimately the evil of the Soviet Union. It's called the Gulag Archipelago, a masterpiece written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who nearly died in those camps as a prisoner. And Solzhenitsyn also analysed precisely why Marxism would always end in tyranny. To mark the 50th anniversary of the Gulag Archipelago, a new edition has just been published a couple of weeks ago with a brilliant foreword by psychologist and author Jordan Peterson. You can read it on my blog. Now, Peterson has a particular rage for Marxists today who refuse to learn from this history that's been written in oceans of blood.
This claim you often hear the radical leftists make about communism, about Marxism, they say, well, that wasn't real Marxism. It's like, okay, well, how many countries do you need to disprove your thesis? How many millions of people have to die before you might admit that you're wrong? Well, obviously more than 100 million, because that's the approximate total. That's probably an underestimate, but we'll be conservative.
So who does still preach Marxism in Australia today? Who could be so deaf and blind to history? Who could be so arrogant as to think that, oh no, Marxism really still could work if only they would be put in charge of us, or people like them? Well, take a look at the speakers at this new Marxism conference in Melbourne next year. You can go to my blog and you can check in detail. These Australians include someone who writes for The Guardian Australia. They include a top lawyer, a teacher union activist, a pro-Palestinian activist, and Helen Razor, who was an occasional ABC broadcaster. And there's more. I find it all a bit sinister, sad. When you have a meeting in Melbourne to promote freedom and to promote free markets, like we did with an IPA conference that I was emceeing a couple of years ago, you get violent riots by Marxists and other activists. But when you get activists in Melbourne promoting Marxism, a creed responsible for 100 million corpses, those activists, they meet in peace. While on our borders, Marxist China stirs.